Hello and welcome to another video. With the release of the Exterminator badge in Bear Alpha, Sam and Whitey got new dialogue. This dialogue can only be seen once you get the Exterminator badge, and I would say it's pretty cool. Essentially, Sam and Whitey give you a bunch of information about their backstory, and although I personally am not a fan of storytelling that is this direct, I guess it is still pretty cool that we are getting it. Today, we will be looking into this lore that Sam and Whitey talk about. Let's begin. To start, let's talk about Sam's dialogue, as is less interesting. When you first talk to Sam, he congratulates you for finding so many Whitey tokens. Afterwards, he says something pretty interesting. He states, "You are not the first or only one who has been here." Now, we already know from the messages in the secret cloud area that many players have ended up in Sam's pit. However, only one, that being you, the player, has passed his test. This test is likely referring to when the player first meets Sam, and he wonders whether we know about the Whitey tokens. Anyways, it is still interesting how Sam brings up that there have been others who have met him before. The next part of Sam's dialogue is definitely the more interesting, as it refers to what happened to Atrocity. Right off the bat, Sam drops an absolute bombshell on us. He explains how him and Whitey used to experiment at the cheese factory, and that they were responsible for creating the hundreds of bears running around the world. This means that this whole time, the entire bear apocalypse was the doing of Sam and Whitey, which is pretty messed up. After this, Sam tells us how he accidentally exploded a bear, that being Atrocity. Now, there is something very interesting about when Sam says this. Although Whitey is devastated and angry about this, Sam just laughs it off. He even states, "It was pretty funny, I got to admit." This is not the only time where Sam just brushes off a tragedy that he himself creates, and I will get into the other example of this later. However, this could imply that Sam doesn't regard the lives of others as particularly high, as he laughs at them whenever something bad happens. Anyways, the last thing Sam says is that there was someone to witness this whole Atrocity incident. This person was the Cheese Factory Robloxian, who is the Bear Alpha universe's version of Henry Master. All in all, Sam's dialogue tells us that he and Whitey were responsible for the bear apocalypse, and that Sam may not value the lives of others. Now let's move on to Whitey's dialogue. Like I stated before, Whitey has a lot more to say. Just like Sam, he starts off by congratulating you for finding more Whitey tokens. Then, he tells a little more information about the backstory of SOS. Essentially, the basic story of this map is that for some reason the submarine where the map takes place stopped working. An entity, known formerly as Unwell, appeared on the submarine demanding cheese. When the people on the submarine ran out, Unwell started killing them. Eventually, Sam came into the submarine through digging a tunnel, and he brought the people on board supplies. However, at some point, Sam was possessed by Unwell. This story is confirmed through the messages of Test, who was the creator of the map, as well as the notes scattered throughout it. Seeing how this story is quite old, it was likely somewhat changed, and although this is likely true, it is still good to go off of. Based on Whitey's dialogue, Sam was the one who stopped the submarine from working as he blew it up. Now, it is a little unclear on whether Sam did this intentionally or not. Based on Whitey's tone, it appears that Sam did blow up the submarine on purpose. However, right after he states that Sam was possessed by Unwell, so it may have been Sam under Unwell's influence who blew up the submarine. With this in mind, I still believe that Sam intentionally blew up the submarine based on Whitey's tone, and if this is true, it would be that other example of Sam not regarding the lives of others as something important that I mentioned earlier. Lastly, Whitey talks about Lone House, which is quite fitting. Whitey first reveals that he actually made the house, which is interesting to say the least, as he has no arms or legs, but it is fine, I guess. Anyways, after this, the player tells him that there are a bunch of miniature versions of him at the house. Whitey is very surprised at this, and he states how he doesn't understand how they would end up there. Afterwards, he warns us to avoid going back there. This exchange tells us that the mini white eyes in Lone House are not familiar to Whitey, and at some point they just kind of showed up, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure of the implications of this, but I guess it's cool. Anyways, that was essentially all of the lore in the new Sam and Whitey dialogue in Bear Alpha. To summarize, we learned that Sam and Whitey were responsible for creating the bear apocalypse, that Sam may not value the lives of others that highly, and that the reason why there are many white eyes in Lone House is a mystery to Whitey himself. Let me know if you find anything else. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.